Hello, we are Team Notify. My name is Jared, this is Danny, Emmanuel, Matthew, and Dwight. Notify is a note-sharing app that allows users to rate, share, and discover their peers' notes. If you continue, please. So I'm going to take you through the summary of what our app will allow you to do. First off, by taking a note, our application allows you to upload, share with your peers, share with other people that you don't know, rate their work, and putting it all together is the social media aspect of our app. So we'll dive down deeper into it. Uploading your work, you could take notes directly on our app Notify, and you could also upload your documents, save it all with us. We'll keep it for you all organized so you don't have to worry about losing it. After you save it, you can share it directly if you know classmates are looking for notes, as they often are. You can give them links to your notes, and they will be able to view them and rate them as they see fit. After you upload notes, you could go to other people's notes, people that you don't know, people that aren't at your school. Read their notes, taking from a larger wealth of knowledge. And we have a rating system. We'll go deeper into it later, but for the gist, it's 1 to 5, and good notes get rated higher, are more visible to other users, and bad notes, we know where they go. Putting it all together is the social media aspect of our project, and is what sets us apart from our competitors. Our two functional requirements are that users will be able to sign in to Notify with web access and login credentials, and that users can post and find their notes efficiently with our website.
So we are planning on using Microsoft's MVP framework, which is ASP/.NET. The reason we're choosing this, as opposed to other alternatives like Grails for Java or Ruby on Rails or PHP's Cake and stuff like that, is you get the benefit of kind of getting up and going. Something like Java, you have to install JVM, Tomcat, and all that, and run all that, just get it going. PHP is obviously pretty kind of complex in its own way. You don't have the benefits of having like an editor. You just have to kind of go in yourself and do it. So here we get to use Visual Studio and all the nice Microsoft stuff that integrates correctly. As you'll see, kind of a theme, we're going to be using other Microsoft stuff.
For the database, we're going to use a Microsoft SQL Server 2012 or 2014 for the database. Why there's some of the ambiguity towards which version we're using. We'll talk about it a little bit later about our hosting services, but currently our choice for hosting the application only lists 2012 as a possibility. It's possible that they just don't have 2014's version listed, but we can still use it, which is what we're kind of hoping for. But for the moment, we've just kind of settled on 2012, and the differences between the two versions are incredibly stark, and there is some crossover there. So for right now, we're just going to plan on using 2012 and maybe hope that we can use 2014 if possible.
Moving on to the design of the site, we kind of discussed how we want this to look. We decided that something as simple as possible. Users are only going to be wanting to do this if it's very intuitive to use. So we decided on Twitter Bootstrap. It's a very common tool that people use. It's very easy to integrate, and also the MVC structure that we use in Visual Studio comes with Twitter Bootstrap already installed, so it's already there for us to use.
As you previously note in this slide, we're using a lot of Microsoft products, so we would just use IIS for the web services. Basically what IIS is going to do is allow for web admins to push the deployments of each version of the app we're designing, log data about the IP addresses, or just provide a lot more security if needed.
So the .NET, we're going to have to kind of study that a little bit more. We have the basics pretty well understood. Just model view controller framework in general is something that integrates throughout all companies and types. So that shouldn't be too hard.
And the learning with Microsoft SQL, I mean, we've all taken the database course. We feel pretty comfortable with using databases and relational databases. However, we've usually used Postgres in most of the stuff. We have not used Microsoft's version of their SQL, so we would have a little bit of learning curve on doing that. But other than that, we're comfortable with doing queries, tables, triggers, and whatnot. Here's our system diagram. It's pretty simple, so I mean, there's no need to really describe it in detail.
Here's our ERD. It's a little crammed. As I mentioned earlier, we're most likely going to use Microsoft Server or SQL Server 2012 for the database, hoping for 2014. Only thing I want to point out on the ERD is there's a table called Notes Categories. That is to represent a many-to-many relationship between notes and categories. This is one of the features that we really want to set Notify apart. Yes, the notes are going to be attached to classes, which are attached to schools, but we don't want that to kind of bog things down. We want to encourage learning. So whether you want to learn something about a topic, but you don't know which class that to look for, but you still want to learn about chemistry or computer science or philosophy, but you still want to find something related. So we want to attach up to 3 categories, at least 1 category, to each note to allow people who aren't in a school to search for documentation, notes from classes, so that they can learn. So encourage learning in that regard. Development costs, hosting, we mentioned this a little bit. We looked into Microsoft Azure services. We were kind of excited about that at first. This estimate, we quickly crossed it out because the estimate of $400 is actually really cheap. That's minimal from what we looked at to have everything that we need. If you look below, RVIC services is an alternative. It includes the ability to host Microsoft SQL Server 2012, remote access to Microsoft databases, the ASP.NET framework, PHP 5, Perl, Python, and the list goes on. Unlimited writing, and it's very affordable. Domain name server. So for right now, we've decided to go with RVIX. I believe that's how you pronounce it. Yeah. And one more, Dwight mentioned earlier that we aren't the most familiar with TSQL. We know the concepts of a relational database. The syntax of TSQL is a bit shaky for us because we haven't messed with it. In researching it, there aren't a lot of free resources to learn TSQL. At least a lot of great ones anyway. This book is currently available at the University of Missouri's library system to view online. However, that system only allows, a librarian told me, up to 3 users at a time. So in doing my research, the book wasn't available for me to read or to experiment with. So I quickly decided that that was some material that we'd need to purchase in order for us to have access consistently, because it would be no fun to not have access to that in a crunch.
So to be fair, to forget all the technical stuff, the user experience is going to be the key to Notify. It's got to be simple. It's got to be easy to take notes. This is obviously not what the web page is going to look like, but the basic idea is you're going to want to select your school, your major, a class, topics, and that's definitely kind of something that sets it apart. You won't be able to search these kind of things on pretty much any other site. So people all around the world, like say you're in Canada and you're taking computer science lower level classes, they're probably still pretty similar to somewhere in Missouri, but you may get a lot more information from them than you could easily from any other random source because you know you're about the same level. So different users, you'll have super user, which is basically like a super admin. He can edit, delete, remove people, if they're posting notes that don't really make sense to what the topic's supposed to be, ban people, stuff like that. Admin also has that capability, but without the actual super code backend access, just kind of like web page access. Editor is somebody who posts notes regularly. They have access to the front end. They can post new stuff, but they can't ban other people or get rid of stuff. Registered users are people who intend to use the site but haven't really done anything yet, and users are obviously just non-logged in people. Then rank levels are kind of like achievements. So you note that if somebody's like chicken scratcher, their notes may or may not be shaky. So people with higher levels that post more notes that get higher ratings, like wordsmiths and scribes, will be higher up on the rank when you search for things. So again, kind of the key thing that differentiates this from like Evernote or even Wikipedia, or like for programming specifically like Stack Overflow, you can just question things and hope you get answers, but you can't really just say like, in general, this is where I'm at. How am I going to get information about this general topic? People might post specific answers like put a semicolon there, but that doesn't really help you in general. So people in the same classes, same categories, can post their general notes, and hopefully you'll find somewhere in the middle that helps you get what you're looking for.
So Matt mentioned about rating. So we're gonna use a commonly, one quill to 5 quill. We're using the quills just to go with the notify theme. But this is a way to have people, depending on class and category, notes that really help some people. Some, if a wordsmith posts something, that's probably because they got better ratings than if a chicken scratcher wrote it. So it just helps people to know, hey, these are the notes that I want to look at. There's better rated. And moving on to we're going to use a commonly used Scrum fall methodology. It's just a mixture of waterfall and Scrum. Neither one of those were really what we were looking for, so we took ideas from both of them. The deadlines here, the main thing is here in April we got the achieve basic functionality. It gives us quite a bit of time to actually refine and test the site and the back end, front end, user experience, all that stuff, so that by the time we have to turn this in, present, it'll be all set. Questions?